Welcome to computer-related legislation, legal, moral, cultural, and ethical issues. I think looking at this, we will probably get through this in this lesson. So let's start it. So I'm using Seneca, but I'm actually explaining it because Seneca doesn't do that. So first of all, Data Protection Act 1998. So that is basically the purpose is it would tell people, so big organizations like Google, what they can do with our data. That's about it. So the principles are the data must be used in a fair way, can only be used for the stated purpose, must be up to date, and not used excessively. 4 things you need to know. And the principles are once you're done with it, you don't use it anymore. It can't be kept longer than necessary. Can only be used in regards to the subject. Must be safe and secure. You can't sell it on to organizations within other countries that don't offer similar level of protection. So the Data Protection Act determines what organizers can do with the personal data they've collected. So what's the short name? DPA2. Oh, for God's sake. Why do we care? Like, we don't need to know that. Okay, principles. Data must be used and processed in a fair and lawful way. Data must only be used for the stated purpose. So obviously, if the thing was, oh yeah, I'm going to use your data to be able to see if you like eggs or not when you're ordering from Tesco's, and then they use it to see your entire menu, your search history, that just doesn't work. Data must be adequate, relative, and not excessive. So for that specified use. So obviously it won't ask for your entire full life backstory when you are literally just going to buy milk. And data must be accurate and kept up to date. So obviously they can't have something from you when you were 14, because that is obviously different from when you're like 25. Computer Misuse Act. So Computer Misuse Act would protect people against cyber bullies, hacking, etc. So the basic premise would be trying to harm someone's personal stuff, trying to get access to someone's personal stuff, trying to edit someone's personal stuff. So it's illegal to attempt to access a network or device with the intent of committing further criminal activity. If you don't have access to a file, you can't edit it or access it. Yeah, that is basically it. So you can't look, edit, or go on to something with intent to hurt. The Computer Misuse Act was introduced to protect against hacking and against cybercrime. So cybercrime is stuff like stealing, going on the dark web and people are stealing your stuff. So unauthorized modification. Yeah, unauthorized access of something with intent. So, and unauthorized access. So it's okay to have unauthorized what? So you can't get unauthorized access and you can't do it with further criminal intent. That makes no sense. What's the point in the last one? So creating, obtaining, or deploying malware is a criminal offense. Creating isn't. Oh. Misuse. Surely creating shouldn't be it. You can use it for educational purposes. It's fine. Unless I just read that wrong. Cyber Designs and Patent Acts. That's probably stuff like copyright. So stuff like YouTube uses, etc. So copyright automatically applies to any original creative work that is physically expressed, e.g. you don't have to register the work. Under the Act, it is illegal to make copies of copyrighted material, share, use unlicensed software, or plagiarize someone's own personal creative work. So using copyright material, you can request permission and you would need written consent to use it, and they can demand money. Patent. Patents are legal protection of inventions. They cover ideas and concepts rather than intellectual property. This can be on both hardware and software. And issues relating to the Act. So, multiple issues are that the internet makes file sharing really easy, e.g. pirating films, etc. And stuff such as text, images, audio and visual can literally make perfect copies. So methods of protecting intellectual property: copyright and patent. Patents are like patents are the more firm versions. So patents can apply to hardware and software, obviously. It can apply to everything. So Creative Commons licensing. Creative Commons is a licensing framework which allows content producers to publish their intellectual property with licenses that give permission for others to use their work. So stuff like YouTube, I guess. So you can obviously share the work, you can redistribute the work, you can use the work but you can't make profit, and work can be redistributed but not modified. And findings would be on sites such as YouTube, SoundCloud, Google Images. So obviously CC content, so that is Creative Commons, is licensing. So there's stuff like, that's literally just going to be the three. So issues. Okay, read this. The internet makes file sharing really easy, especially using peer-to-peer networks. Digital representation of text, image, audio and video allow for perfect copies to be made. There is uncertainty on whether website owners are responsible for the illegal stuff, but theoretically not like YouTube, etc. So types of common, so share alike, non-commercial, non-derivative, and there's one more. So share alike is obviously you can share it, non-commercial you can use it but not for profit, non-derivative you can't use it for, you can't modify it. And then there's one more thing which I have definitely not forgotten. Share alike, attribution would be the other one. So three common examples of sites would be YouTube, SoundCloud, and Google SoundCloud, and then Google Images. So obviously these are three things that obviously the owner doesn't have full control. Well, they do have control, but they don't have control of where everything's going. But they are also in kind of control of legislating everything that's on there. So regulation of Investigatory Power Act 2000. So this regulates the use of surveillance methods. So this was introduced as people were starting to use encryption and starting to actually look at where people were. So the Act allows certain public bodies such as government and crime agencies to monitor the internet use of individuals, demand that internet users reveal encryption keys, require an ISP to provide access to internet communications, and requires ISPs to fit surveillance equipment. So it kind of gives them the right to be able to like look at what you're doing. And then methods of interception. It also prevents use of intercepted information from being revealed in court in order to protect the methods of interception made by these bodies. So obviously you can use the newfound information in court, but you can't like, they won't tell you how they do it. So what does it do? It makes it illegal to access, nope. Gives interviews, nope. Protects creative ideas, nope. Give organizers access to communicated data, yep. So what does it allow the government bodies to do? So monitor the internet use of individuals, demand the internet users reveal encryption keys so they can actually see what's going on, require an internet service provider, and requires internet service providers to fit surveillance equipment. Surveillance equipment, which is for some reason spelled ludicrously long. The hell? Okay, surveillance equipment, that took a while. So in what year was it made? It was made in the 2000s. So when everything started popping, really. So that is computing related legislation, and now is moral and ethical issues. This is basically PRE, just write as much as you can. Online activity tracking. So many people have concerns on how their online activity is tracked. It's now easy to track people, such as what searched items you use, website you visited, and what you've purchased. Using something, it's possible to track your internet history, so that would be using, well, it's using software, using internet, using what is possible to track, or history, using your search terms, track your internet, cookies, oh, yeah, cookies is basically like, it shows it shows people that are track ISPs what you've been on. So, what is a lot of activity data used for? Advertising, to promote stuff to you so you want it more. So, using cookies, it is possible to track your internet history. Advertisers sometimes use this to show you relevant adverts. There's a lack of something about lack of certainties about tracking data, which has led to some companies tracking data without consent. Yeah, there's a lack of laws, regulations, yeah. It was just too big to write the word laws in, so I was like, that can't be right. So, censorship now. So, censorship. Some governments limit what their citizens can see online. South Korea, North Korea. So, that is theoretically ethical, but not ethical. But this is kind of like a PRE case. So the cons of it would be some governments censor political websites which oppose their own. So obviously that kind of makes a tunnel vision for the public who can only see one kind of thing. Some governments censor communication to other countries. So other countries may or may not gain other pieces of information which the citizens don't get. And these are generally considered negative consequences of censorship because they limit our free will. While the pros would be some countries use censorship to keep people safe. And that would literally be the only thing. Can censorship have positive consequences? Yes, safety. Okay then. Some governments censor political websites which oppose their own government, and some censor something to other countries. Communication. So other countries might be getting other information which they don't want the citizens getting. So why is censorship sometimes considered to be a negative? It is considered to be a limited negative most of the time. Can limit people's freedom. Cultural issues. So this would be stuff like, oh yeah, in education you can't use computers because it's better to do stuff purely. So online learning provide access to some of the best universities for free. Work-life balance. Positive cultural impacts. Mobile devices give employees the freedom to work from anywhere, like obviously COVID. Health. Sometimes like the internet can affect mental health, but it can also help you advance in physical health. Welfare, it allows people to make other forms of income, and it gives you social media allowance. So technology can improve health through computerized imaging, create models of diseases, and artificial intelligence. Easy. So, positive. Obviously, social interactions, welfare, work-life balance, health, and what would be the other one? Positive cultural impacts. So it's obviously like helping people, education. That is the most obvious one. That's literally what we are doing. Fair enough. Education. So negative cultural impacts. Fake news, obviously. There are a lot of people vouching a lot of different opinions. Education. Technology is expensive and poorer schools may get worse access. So a digital divide. Social interaction. It creates a fake idea of what other people are doing. What the hell is that purple app? I don't know. Work-life balance. People may feel like their work is getting a bit too overwhelmed, or may just push it aside to do social media, I guess. And health, overusing. So negative impacts: health, social interaction, work life, education, and fake news. What effects has social media had on people's satisfaction? has decreased, theoretically. Well, it's social networks allow people to connect with long lost friends or people anywhere around the world, but that is also a way of catching people out. So, repetitive eye strains, repetitive neck injury. I thought that would have been neck strains. So, health technology, how related to overuse of technology, lack of communication or talking, lack of talking, well, it's interaction really, isn't it? Well, neck, oh, those are there, so it's repetitive strain injuries, and then lack of what? Well, there's a lot of things. There's lack of human interaction, lack of exercise. Is that exercise? Exercise. Okay, cool. And environmental issues. Morocco, we have chosen that. Where's Morocco? There? Oh, Jesus Christ. So, environmental issues, there's the next one that we're doing. So, e-waste. E-waste refers to the discard of electronic waste. Most stuff actually goes into landfill or is burnt. When it's burnt, the plastic actually goes into the atmosphere and we breathe it, while the e-waste is just put into landfills. Newer models. So as new things come out, we discard our old things. So a lot of people just throw them away and they're not needed. They can also release toxic chemicals into the air. How do many companies get around the waste electronic and electronic equipment strict rules? They would send it to other countries, obviously. So stuff like India and China, which have so much space. So energy consumption. It's not a surprise that technology uses a lot of energy, but there might be more than people think. Data centers are some of the worst offenders. They always have to keep their servers running, so they always use energy. So, in 2011, the US Department of Energy calculated that data centers in the US need 70 billion kilowatt hours of energy a year. That's 2% of America's total power consumption on just running servers. That could turn over 80 million. That could turn on 80 million light bulbs. And reducing energy consumption. So we do that by when stuff is not needed, turn it off. Make sure the stuff you're using does not overheat, and make sure that you only use stuff that you need. What's the hidden energy cost? Hidden cost. Cooling systems, because you need to make sure it's always cold. Whew. How to reduce the energy consumption? Hot and cold rooms. There's hot and cold something. Hot and cold what? Hot and cold air. How to reduce the energy consumption? Reduced by server isolation and reduced by using aisles. Well, this depends on how rich you are. You will have rooms or aisles. So positive efficiency. Computer models and simulations have been used to test and improve efficiencies of engines and wind turbines. Climate change. The computer systems have allowed scientists to monitor and predict the effect of climate change and online communication, so we don't need like letters and terrible planes, which Greta Thunberg is against. It's really pissed she's getting a Nobel Peace Prize. How dare you? How can technology help to improve the efficiency of wind turbines? Technology by creating simulations to help optimize it, so you can run them at their optimum at all times. Simple. So what are some worst offenders? Obviously data centers, because they have to keep their servers running all the time. Scum. So, how can technology help modeling climate change? Your drivers may crash your PC. Improving the efficiency of wind turbines or other... Literally, it could improve the efficiency of anything. A company that improves rules on disposable e-waste is called the Waste Electronic and... You saw nothing. You definitely didn't see me just look up the word electronics. How does online communication benefit the environment? It allows people to discuss. Reduces travel for meeting. Helps people to discuss online. No, because you're not sending a flipping pigeon halfway across the world now. Computer systems have allowed scientists to monitor the change. Allowed scientists to monitor and predict the effects of climate change. And that is it. That is it, I guess.